fulfilling the needs that are built into the system. So it causes more family violence than all other concerns, and it is the source of our greatest overpopulation and healthcare issues.
Okay, I just want to pause again to the women. If you have ever been beaten or been hit, we're not saying that you're dumbed down. What we are saying is a higher mind and consciousness to nurture the perpetrators so that that victim-perpetrator relationship doesn't keep spinning again and again. The solution is the love, but mothers don't teach their daughters how to love a man, and fathers don't teach their sons how to love a woman and care for a nurturing relationship. So that sets up the conflict from the get-go.
From the get-go. And I didn't mean to imply that anybody's dumbed down. I'm saying the culture. We've all been, for centuries, we've been dumbed down. There's not been a sexual education in our culture's lives for thousands of years, as far as I know.
Yeah.
Like I don't think that was really happening back before Christ. I mean, it was happening in the goddess temples.
Let's talk about that for a second before you continue, because just because the goddess temples found that was important, and it's not important right now.
Yeah, no, the goddess temples were a time when sexuality and spirituality were connected. So people eagerly went to their temples to have a felt experience of spirit. You know, why do you say, oh God, when you come? Because sex, when it is in the ecstatic air, when you experience ecstatic sexuality, it is a spiritual experience, and we say, oh God, you know. So the natural connection of sex and spirit is a very strong thing, but it got broken thousands of years ago when we moved into a male-based model of God and a concept of God. So instead of going to the temples where you're going through sexual training, initiation, rituals, ceremonies, and your sexuality is welcomed and part of the spiritual life, now you have an idea that sex is bad and wrong. You should only do it for having children, and you basically shouldn't do it at all. And you need to go to church and sit in a building and listen to a concept of God. So you have a concept of spirit. You don't have a felt experience of spirit. And in that process, nobody's really inclined to give money to the church. People give money to the temples because they are getting fed from it. Mm-hmm. But we're not really getting fed by the spirituality that's been in existence for a really long time. So then the churches want people's money, and then it starts a war around power. So I could go on about that, but I want to just read this little part here. So I said that whole thing about sex, and then it says, and yet we ignore it when we educate our children, when we structure our communities, and when we consider the causes and solutions to our collapsing world. So wouldn't you think it'd be good in the UN to have the part of the UN that's addressing erotic wellness?
Yes. Wouldn't it be good in our schools to be addressing erotic wellness? Don't we, instead of doing what's happening right now, what's happening is because the erotic underbelly of our world is being revealed now. The amount of abuse of women that's happened is coming to light. There's a clamping down on anything that is sexual, that is educational, that is being offered. There's a clamping down on the many women in this time have educated. It has been an infusion of wisdom from the East. We have learned about the possibility of sexuality as a spiritual experience. There are many women eagerly wanting to share that knowledge and teach both women and men about the union of those two energies. And we need to make that more possible, not less possible. So I think, because it's so topical with the Me Too movement, with every contraction, there's an expansion. And this is a perfect jumping off point for you to actually come off of that Me Too movement conversation instead of abusing the perpetrator and shaming him, which just creates more shame around shame, that we embrace the conversation to what would a culture look like that would embrace people and not withhold the intimacy. That's because right. Withholding intimacy turns a tame dog into a wolf. It really is
such a important time to not contract, because sex is going to have its way. It will, and if you
life will continue.
If you don't educate and evolve the energy, and you push more down on it, it's going to go deeper, more twisted, more weird.
Yes.
You're going to have weirder and weirder porn. You're going to have more and more hidden sexuality. You're going to have less protection for the people who are trying to educate.
Yeah.
So it's really a key time. And you know what we've been talking about is, I have been living for the last 30 years as a temple keeper. I live in sacred space, and I am doing my best to live every day as a demonstration of the divine feminine. And I want to be a space that is bringing that kind of beauty and magic and wisdom to life, and showcasing so many beautiful people who come to me that I want to share with the world, right? You as an example. And you have your own temple, and you're doing your particular part of the...
Yeah, it's another temple, a temple carrier. There might be many women out there that take their living situation to the next level, which means that they are concerned about the energy in their space, and creating community, and having gatherings, and having lecturers come over and educate the community around these topics that help our culture evolve.
That's
one
right.
soul at a time, one country at a time, one constellation at a time, all the way out throughout the universe. That it's time for us to now go into our gifting societies and be able to, like the site Patreon, go Patreon. I think it's great. We're finally here supporting our artisans and our teachers and our wisdom keepers. So if we go back to ancient Greece, or even further back to the goddess culture, the merchants and the people of the community supported these temples. The temples kept the energetic space where the community could gather and offer these teachings. And so we are in a conversation about the she economy, which this is the end of this clip. We'll have a second clip for that, where people can donate and know that these spaces are kept alive, and the culture's rich. It comes down for thousands and thousands of years. And you're writing a book right now, and you're very well versed in it. And how can they get a hold of you?
Well, I am becoming a presence on YouTube. I'm getting that going. I've been just dallying with that for a long time, but now I'm getting going here. So you can go to Alorah Inanna on YouTube, and that's spelled ALORAHINANNA. Now I know that's...
I'll write it down at the bottom. I'll put it at the bottom.
I may have to change it and make it simpler, like Alorah Live or Alorah Love.
For right now,
whatever. But that's
let's
it.
just say one thing. I'll put it down at the bottom, and if she changes it, she'll just do a redirect. So anyway, if you're interested in intimacy coaching, or if you live in the City of Angels and you want to do one of the live events she has at her temple in Marina del Rey, it's very beautiful. It's really gorgeous. It's about being the sensual you. And we'll come back for another clip, because I want to talk about the time, pleasure and play. Time, pleasure, and play. That's going to be our next clip. All right, thank you. This is Athena StarSeed and Alorah Inanna on a series called Raising Reverence. Stay tuned.